in the latter stages, certainly there was some contact with Joyce. Joyce down the inside. Yeah, at the start of it there was some contact too.
Only a tiny bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So that was the incident that saw fate.
Well, we've missed the pass.
Well, we've got a new race leader, Corey Holmes.
In the blink of an eye.
While we were looking at that replay, we have a new race leader. Can Matt Lockwood come back and get by Corey Holmes? Based on the pace that we've sort of seen, you maybe wouldn't expect so, but Corey Holmes, new race leader, and he's got a huge run up over the hill. So here it is here, and he's gone down the inside rally style.
Wow, that's quite aggressive. I haven't seen that done before. I'm not sure Matt will be happy about that.
That was down into the Hankook sweeper. That was a big pass.
Yeah.
Obviously had a lot more momentum out of the hairpin. Back on board with Fane Carr here. He is still back. He's in the 14th position in a battle group there with Ken Hunter and Trey Nairn.
He sounds angry too.
Kirk Stoneman, he's making some places up. Damage to the left front corner of his machine. He is 15th.
And it looked like someone was going around as well. Going to miss the apex of that turn. Once you get on the ripple strip, there it is, Hunter.
Yeah, the 8, Ken Hunter.
Yeah.
Look at the lead Corey Holmes has got. As I think Stoneman down the inside.
Self-inflicted from Hunter.
Yeah, just running wide and a big tank slapper. Oh, Clement had to take avoiding action in the Rock 11. But I think Matt Lockwood might have lost a spot to Christina, and indeed Christina Orr up into the 2nd position. Birthday girl.
Yes, well done. Well, you know, they've had a extra race weekend that Matt Lockwood has not had.
And here's Joyce lining up. Matt Lockwood now is maybe just starting to fade, maybe just having to work
and
a little bit harder on the tyre. Maybe the tyre pressures are going up.
He got caught out on the wrong line. There was absolutely nothing he could do.
Last lap board, last lap board. Corey Holmes leads, Christina Orr is 2nd. So Lockwood now back into the 4th position. Daniel Connors just in behind, remembering that Daniel started from 10th.
Yes, 10th.
So I think that's a similar gain that Jen Rollinson made in the reverse top 10 at Taupo.
It's great points.
Oh, Christina with a big sideways moment. She's gathered it back up. She's going to lose spots here.
Could lose 2.
Joyce Lockwood's going to look up the inside.
She's squeezing him. She's got to be very careful here.
A little bit of contact. Matt's got the inside line though to 4. Side by side off, they're going to charge down into the BNT hairpin, and Lockwood missed a gear. He missed about 3 gears, and look how much that's hurt him.
And he knows it too.
You could tell the body language was just, that didn't go to plan. So out in front, Corey Holmes looking for his first win of the championship. So this is race 4 of the series. 4 different race winners.
Yeah, epic, isn't it?
We only had 2 at Taupo. Gene Rollinson, I think Fane Carr here.
Yeah,
Daniel Connor won the first race this weekend, and Corey Holmes going to do the job here in race number 2.
He's making the tyres work. He's using every part of the racetrack to get this thing around as quick as he can. So well done.
A serious amount of pace, and as I said, you know, there's not a lot of changes you can make on these machines, but tyre pressures are crucial, especially when the temperature's up. In any of our motor racing circuits around New Zealand. A little bit of cloud cover today, but Corey Holmes takes the victory in race number 2 here at Hampton Downs. Drag race down to the line. Christina Orr comes back to 2nd. Thomas Joyce, Daniel Connor from grid 10, race 1 winner in the 4th position ahead of Matt Lockwood. That costly missed gear certainly cost Matt Lockwood. Well done, Corey Holmes. 4th different race winner in 4 races for the Sangyong Racing Series. Ford has not managed to get away for the formation lap as they're rolling around for this race start, and it's 60 laps. Let's have a look at the grid lineup. A little bit of drama happening at the start of this one before we go racing. From the pole, Evans and Van Gisbergen. Simon Evans will start. Steve Owen, Tim Edgell, and as we've just seen, Steve Owen will start that car. Slade and Moore, Slade in the 10. Gibson and McIntyre. McIntyre will start the Blackwood Protector Ford.
Angus Fogg and Tony D'Alberto on grid number 5, alongside them Ed Pedersen and Johnny Reid. Murphy and Perkins, grid number 7, and Cunningham Waters, who we just saw, it looks like in the back of the shot, coming through now.
Andre Heimgartner and Paul Morris a little bit further back after a pretty successful first race. Paul Manuel and Shay Davies. Chris Hanley, Gene Rollinson from 11, and completing the grid lineup, Sean Varney and Andrew Waite. On board systems, camera systems, Simon Evans and the Smeg Racing Commodore. Race 1 winners, of course, here with Shane van Gisbergen. Greg Murphy will start the Mike Pero number 1 Holden Commodore. An important podium for him in race number 1. Isn't entirely happy, but they know they're at the right end of the grid. John McIntyre starting the number 47 Blackwood Protector Ford. So Shane, it gets very, very different now. 30 laps for race number 1. We are out to 60 laps. Compulsory pit stop or a driver change. And we now throw into the mix a fuel stop as well. And that is open. You can do that at any time. You have to throw 25 litres at the cars.
Yes, thanks, Jamie. That's right. We'll take the green flag, and any time during that race you can come in and take on your 25 litres of Gull fuel. And we've got a pit window, it was 26 to 32 of the compulsory driver change. And you might see some teams take on tyres. Certainly it is a bit of an issue for some of them that they don't think they're going to get through at a good pace on one set.
What are the feelings down on pit lane, Mark Pedersen? Do you think we may see some tyre changes?
No, we're definitely going to see any tyre changes, boys, unless we've got flat tyres or there's a big lock-up. But you look all the way down pit lane, every single person out, they've got the crash helmets on, they've got the air lancers ready. I think we're going to see all the fuel stops actually done in the first 1 or 2 laps, so she's going to get quite busy quite quick.
Well, wouldn't be a little bit wiser if we got potentially a safety car? I mean, they can do it at any time, so there's no real drama to get it over and done with, is there?
No, but let's be honest, with such a compressed field, the chance of having a safety car are quite minimal, so pays to get out of the way nice and early.
So we are about to go racing here at Hampton Downs, the TR Group Waikato 400 second race. 12 cars on the grid. Cunningham Waters car has joined the back of the field and installed the car off the grid for the formation lap. We saw a great opener to race 1 between Van Gisbergen and Andre Heimgartner. That provided a lot of action in the early stages of the first race, but as we said, it gets a lot harder now. 60 laps, double the race distance. And the added extra of having to throw some fuel in these cars. Of course, the compulsory driver change pit window between laps 26 and 32. On board with McIntyre, Evans, Steve Owen, the very experienced Steve Owen, and we've already got cars peeling off into pit lane, deciding to take those fuel stops straight off the race start. So an interesting strategic call there. And it was Paul Morris pitting the Hydrolink car as we go green. 60 laps, race 2. Evans with a great start. Got the early jump on Steve Owen, and a great start from Tim Slade. Slots right in behind the Chester's Holden. Murphy's trying to find a line. I think Murph might have got swamped there.
I'm a little bit, I need to pull out my rule book, Jamie, but I'm sure that you had to take the green flag before the fuel stop.
Shane, I'm going to jump straight in here, guys. You're 100% right. The car has to actually go past the start-finish line. They have to come in the first lap. So what the Heimgartner car and the car behind us, they're both going to be deemed illegal pit stops, so they'll have to come back in and do another fuel stop.
Oh, wow, that is going to be costly.
Yeah. Or maybe take a time penalty accordingly.
Wow.
The boys not doing their homework, obviously, is up front. Evans, Steve Owen, Tim Slade, as they filter through the long turn 6. Hankook sweep, and they'll come up over the Sound Straight for the first time. She's a good little train here.
Yeah, top 4 have got away now.
So here comes D'Alberto.
Yeah, D'Alberto. So the green light in the front window is the co-driver in the car. 5 main drivers started this one. A very, very wide run there from Steve Owen, and that's allowed Tim Slade an inside run up into turn 2.
He's not careful here. He's going to have McIntyre filter through as well.
Yeah, McIntyre trying to take advantage of that. He slots back into that 4th position. So fuel stop for the D'Alberto Fog Property Tutors Holden. Race 1 clash with Tim Edgell. It's a drive-through for Tim Edgell and the Chester's Holden. Looking back over the rear bootlet of Greg Murphy's Mike Pero number 1 back to Johnny Reid and the J.A. Russell Ford. So it's Evans, Slade, Owen, McIntyre, Murphy, Reid, Paul Manuel starting the Oryx Holden. Remembering, of course, Drakey, that it's the opposite from race 1. The driver that didn't start the first race is starting the second race based on their lap times from the 2 qualifying sessions for the main drivers and the co-drivers.
Yeah, it's a good mix-up, potentially a little confusing for you at home, but it actually makes it very entertaining. And there is, as McIntyre slips up the inside of Owen.
Yeah, Steve Owen just a little bit vulnerable in these early laps. Position change for 3. McIntyre up into 3rd in the Blackwood Protector Ford. Again, Owen a little bit wide on the run through turn 2.
Yeah, probably not the best to start for Owen. He's dropped a couple of positions, 3 in fact.
Oh, Owen locks up the rears. Greg Murphy's tucked up underneath the rear wing.
Maybe some strategic work going on, I'm sure there is, and tyres, trying to get the performance over 60 laps. We saw in race 1, Heimgartner just pushed those tyres too hard early on and paid the ultimate price. But if you do just pull that car back in speed, you can actually get the life back out of those tyres again to get performance again.
There's Paul Manuel. Sideways moment there for Paul Manuel. And the Oryx Commodore. Slade starting to make some gains on Simon Evans for the race lead. Identical lap times on the previous lap of 1:05.
Here comes Murphy.
9. And here comes Slade on Evans. 6-0 versus a 5-6. So Slade had 4 tenths on him. Murphy up into P4. Steve Owen car just doesn't look as strong in these early laps. A little lock up there for Murphy from the right front. Owen sticks his nose in there but can't get the job done. Back on board with Murphy, looking back at Steve Owen. So Angus Fogg, first of the cars to pit after lap 1.
Tell you what, that Tim Slade and John McIntyre are showing a very good sign of speed over frontman Simon Evans.
Jack Perkins looking on, keeping an eye on the progress. Richard Moore in the background in the M3 racing pit. Yeah, both Slade and McIntyre had 3 and 4 tenths respectively over Simon Evans on the previous lap. As Greg Murphy starts to get away here from Steve Owen. Murphy will have the lights on. And Drakey, you know him better than just about anybody. He does not like getting beaten.
No, he doesn't. And he had a reasonably angry car in qualifying, as I think that looked like some smoke from the front of the number
again.
1.
Yeah,
they're going to be careful. Yeah, if they keep doing that, then it's going to create a flat spot on that tyre. Bit of sun coming out. Mork, have you got a reading on track temp, air temp down there?
Yeah, boys, she's 28 degrees track temperature, but something a little bit more critical than that. I've just spoken to the officials, and that strategic move that the Heimgartner car and the other car took place, mate, they got away with it. The interpretation of the rule states they can do it, so good on them, fair game to them. Yeah,
that was the Cunningham Waters 32 and Heimgartner Morris. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Have you got a read on that, Mark?
Oh, the way the rule states, it states you can do the refuelling once the race has started, and where the grey area is, Shane, is that once lights turn green, technically the race has started, you don't actually have to go past the start-finish line, so it's an interpretation on the rules. They've made a ruling on it, and good on them for doing so.
You know, I thought that we'd actually sorted a few things out, but that's just taking it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but all it means is going to mean is that when we get to race 3, Shane, everybody's going to come up on the warm-up lap, so it's going to make my job quite easy.
Simon Evans answers back with a 5-4, and Slade immediately back on it with a 5-2. Fastest lap of the race for Tim Slade.
No, he's on it, and wind the clock back 12 months ago, and the man in the background there was very, very quick in that car. So he obviously enjoys the Hampton Downs layout. 2.7 Ks of this wonderful Hampton Downs circuit, just south of Auckland, and on State Highway 1. I must say, driving in here this morning, it was a fantastic sight.
Overhead pit shot, that is from the Smeg Racing Team garage. Shane Angersbergen's engineer, Jeff Slater there in the high vis. Steve Giles just behind.
It's got light. Tony, turn the light off down there, would you? Fantastic cameraman.
Looking pretty comfortable. His teammate out in front, but he's being chased down by one of the V8 supercar regulars, Tim Slade. Evans' last lap was a 5-4, 5-3, 5-2 for Slade. He's got a 10th on him. And it is nose to tail out in front. McIntyre, a 5-4, dropped a couple of tenths back. just got away from Greg Murphy.
He was just not quite close enough there to have a lunge at Simon Evans.
It's Johnny Reid, the J.A. Russell Ford. Johnny currently in the 6th position, and behind him will be Paul Manuel, who's lost a position. Gene Rollinson up into 8th, Sean Varney 9th, back to Paul Morris, D'Alberto and Cunningham. Remembering that Morris, D'Alberto and Cunningham have all pitted to get their fuel stops out of the way in the early laps. So Mark, tyre management, we saw a little bit of that in race number 1 from Andre Heimgartner, just overheating his tyres in that battle, that early stoush with Shane van Gisbergen. Are we going to see more of maybe a settled pace here throughout this race, you think?
Well, they've actually got 2 opportunities during the refueling stop and then the driver change stop to actually go in and pressure back the tyres. So essentially, albeit it's a 6 laps endurance race, it's going to become probably 2 20-lap or 3 20-lap sprint races. So look, it's going to become an issue. Certainly won't be as big a factor as we saw in race 1.
Identical lap times from Evans and Slade on that last lap. McIntyre was a shade quicker, as was Greg Murphy, just settling into a pace now, 105.5.
Mind you two, I'm wondering at the times that these guys are putting out early 5s, that's as good as race 1, and I don't think you can keep this up for 60 laps.
No, and the thing we've got to take into account here, guys, is these things are full of fuel as well. So, you know, they've got a lot of fuel hanging over the rear tyres, and they'll certainly be burning them up, Shane. So you're right what you say, they'll be getting punished.
Yeah, well added, Mark.
I think the fuel burn around here is around 1.6, 1.7 litres of Gull 98 a lap. On board with Murph. There's the gap to John McIntyre.
This car, as I said before, was ugly, you know, in qualifying in race 1, but it looks certainly a lot more stable at this point in time with a full fuel load. Good tyres, but you have good tyres in qualifying, but it certainly looks a lot nicer car to be in today.
Certainly that was one of the highlights in qualifying, watching Jack Perkins manhandle the number 1. So Paul Morris currently in the 10th position. Remembering that car and the car behind and the Cunningham Waters 32 have each taken their fuel stops.
And I was talking to Aaron Thornton this morning, team manager for the Hydrolink car, and these guys blew a lot of time in their pit stop and were very, very annoyed. So they spent a lot of time doing driver changes between races 1 and 2 to try and eliminate that massive amount of time that they lost, including a position.
Yeah, the best driver change was 12.8 seconds from Murphy and Perkins. Morris and Heimgartner's 23 seconds, so they were twice the amount of time for that driver change. Evans under control here out front. Slade, that gap's just stabilised. Evans has just set the fastest lap of the race at a 5.1. Fastest lap in race 1 was a 4.7 set by Shane van Gisbergen. So they're about 4 tenths off that at the moment, and it's a little bit cooler conditions here than we saw for race number 1, which will certainly help the tyre life over the 60-lap run. Remembering the pit window opens between lap 26 and 32.
Smurf on the back of McIntyre, and these guys got to know each other quite well at round 1 of the championship, and certainly they had differing views.
Of course they're going to. 2 motor racing drivers with an incident, they're going to have 2 different views. Now, when have you not seen 2 different views? You've been in the middle of some of it, Mr. Drake. This is probably Mark Pedersen, actually. As Murphy's starting to look pretty racy here, racing with John McIntyre. Murph was 3 tenths quicker on the previous lap. In fact, Murph's gone fastest. Fastest lap for Greg Murphy at a 105.114. Look at D'Alberto's pace, having taken their fuel stop. He's doing 105.3s.
Well, that's nearly about as fast as they've gone all weekend. So there certainly is an improvement on a full fuel load. Yeah, the number 1.
Fastest lap for Bobby D'Alberto was a 5.6, so they've already gone quicker than race number 1.
It's a little bit cooler conditions here for Mark Gibson, young man from Taupo. Last time we saw him, he had a shirt off, but he'll be next in the car.
McIntyre's just a little bit twitchy on the approach to turn 4, Fox Corner. So the gap stabilised out front, a 5.2 for Evans, a 5.2 for Slade. That'll group for 3rd, McIntyre, Murphy. And Steve Owen starting to gain back onto that. He's 5.3 for his last lap. He was 2/10 quicker than Greg Murphy. And behind Steve Owen, you've got Johnny Reid, Paul Manuel, 7th. Gene Rollinson, 8th in the Ferndale Farms Ford. Running with Chris Hanley. Sean Varney in 9th. And then the first of the fuel stoppers, Morris, D'Alberto and Cunningham.
Intriguing, Jamie, these wise V8 supercar drivers, and one of them there in 2nd spot, one of them in 4th and 5th. Let's see how they manage their tyres over this length of time, and compared to our local guys.
Yeah, we did see that in race 1. As we said, Heimgartner just got a little bit aggressive in the early laps. Shane Van Gisbergen showed some patience to go by. A twitch there for Paul Manuel. He's just starting to drop off the back of Johnny Reid now. He lost a couple of tenths on that previous lap. So Greg Murphy with the fastest lap of the race at a 5.1. Another brake lock up there for Greg Murphy. Into the pits comes the Varney. Waits simply leasing forward, and
that's not coming in for a fuel stop. They had a number of issues with that car yesterday with brakes and electronics, causing the car to cut out. They replaced a lot of electrical parts between race 1 and 2.
Mark will be down there, he can go and check that out.
Obviously he hasn't done the job.
It's disappointing for the Varney weight combination. Pretty solid there in the 9th position. Simon Evans has just gone fastest with a 105.087, and Murphy goes by McIntyre. You just saw a flash of red on the right side of the Blakewood Protector Ford. Murphy seizes the opportunity up into 3rd for the defending series champion.
You think the way that Ford shot out of Murph's car before, McIntyre car was starting to sort of wobble around a little bit, get a little bit lazy through the corner.
A couple of little twitches on the approach down to Hook's Corner, turn 4. This is the run down to the BNT Hampton, turn 5 at Hampton Downs.
Very slow and lazy on the entrance to BNT Hampton. The McIntyre car, as they head up to the Hankook sweeper, 215 kilometres an hour into this long corner that leads uphill through the apartments in pit lane.
Seth Murphy can get away here from McIntyre and get himself onto the back of the Slade. Evans battle out in front. Evans' last lap of 5.051. That lap just completed. Slade with a 5.2. Morris, Tony D'Alberto.
D'Alberto's popped the position there, moved one up. That was one of the early stoppers as well.
Yeah, he's in the 5s pretty solidly, Mark.
Guys, just a bit of an update on the Sean Varney NG8 car. It looks like it's a recurring problem from race 1 with the brakes. So they're just going to go through the process of bleeding the brakes and see if they can get a bit of confidence back in that system.
The interesting thing about that, Mark, that's Shane Van Gisbergen's former chassis. Shane did have some brake problems with that car a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like they're coming back to become gremlins for these guys, which is a bit of a shame because, as you know, they've tried hard to get here, and it's a magnificent looking setup they've got.
Yeah, it's odd. It's an odd problem. The Brembo brake packages in these cars are very, very good. Certainly, if anything, they're probably a little bit over brake tracky.
Oh, I don't know about over brake, but certainly helps being able to pull the car up in the brake instead of having to use gears, but you tend to use your gearbox to help slow you down.
Right, that lead out in front is there's nothing in a 0.4 of a second. A 105.3 from Evans, 105.2 from Slade again. Slade just a 10th quicker on that lap. Looking back to Greg Murphy, he was 4 tenths slower. Similar lap speed for McIntyre. Steve Owen a 10th further back behind that. So that's the battle group for 3rd, 4th and 5th. About 11 laps away from the pit window for the compulsory driver change. Leaders go through Murphy, McIntyre, Steve Owen. He looks to be cooling down even further with a little bit of cloud cover. I think it's going to affect the track temperature too much.
No, it'll make it actually quite a nice fast track, not allowing the tyres to get too much temperature into them. It's on board at McIntyre.
Just struggling with that initial turn.
Just a little bit of a wobble there. That's not helped by the fact that the car's standing on its nose and braking, and the rear gets light and it tends to wobble around at the rear, bit of rear steer, oversteer.
They're starting to get away from him now. 5.3 for Evans, 5.2 for Slade. Again, that lap pace is similar. The gap has come down though to 0.3 of a second. They're pretty much nose to tail. Murphy at a 5.4, 3 tenths quicker than John McIntyre. On board with Murphy. only a couple of drivers that have ever completed a clean sweep weekend. And Scott McLaughlin in the first season. Pit stop here. This will be for fuel. Ferndale Farms Ford.
That looks like Mark Peterson there, doing the fuel.
Might be doing double duty down there.
I don't look that good anymore, guys.
He's got your suit and your helmet on, mate.
Yeah, probably fits him a bit better than it fits me.
So that 25 litres, Mark, that's probably, what, 8 to 10 seconds, if that?
Yeah, well, just over 13 actually, but we've got the Timmy Edgell car coming in right now, so we'll get a proper gauge on this, boys, and report back to us.
On board with McIntyre, losing ground to Greg Murphy. So fuel stop there on lap 15.
Actually a quicker lap for McIntyre.
Steve Owen taking their fuel stop. The Chester's Holden. So all of the fuel rigs identical across all of the cars. A little bit of an assist there, just getting the car away.
Yeah, 13 seconds on the nose, guys. But what is interesting though is that the Holdens seem to be a lot easier to refuel because of the position of the Bowsers on the side of the car and what the Ford is, because the Holden, it's a natural, just the Bowser system falls in. As the Ford looks like you've got to lift it up and go in, so it probably explains why it's a couple of seconds quicker.
That's just the slight change in the hit line of that rear quarter on the cars?
Yeah, it's just the silhouettes, you know, just where the silhouette is of the car, so nothing in it, but boys got to work around it.
All right, Simon Evans, race leader. Managed to get away a little bit from Tim Slade on that last lap. 5-1 for Evans, 5-4. That's the biggest loss from Slade over the last probably 10 laps. Just watch the car going through one there, Shane. Just a little bit of sideways attitude from the Mike Pero 10.
The sun comes out again, just to add to your worries if you're struggling on your tyre. But Slade's a consummate professional. Sure, he'll have it under control and enjoy these Hankook tyres the way that they have a lot more durability than what he's used to.
Sun's back out too, just broken through a little bit of cloud cover over Hampton Downs. So Simon Evans, your race leader, 17 laps completed, lap 18. Mark, I'm wondering if some of these teams are maybe going to look at maybe doing the driver change and then maybe straight in with the next lap for the fuel change, for those that haven't pitted so far?
That could be one strategy. There's definitely everybody's going to hang out for a safety car because that's going to be the fastest time to do either stop anyway. So they're going to run the laps as long as they can.
So we've had 5 cars completing their fuel stops. Fogt, Alberto, Heimgartner, Morris, Cunningham, Waters, Hanley, Rollinson and Edgell and Owen. Back in the Smig Racing pit bunker. Team owner Owen Evans there alongside Shane Van Gisbergen, of course.
Race management. Drive-through penalty.
Steering it.
Penalty, car 27, pit lane infringement. Drive-through penalty, car 27.
Just hearing a drive-through penalty on race radio, I think, for the 27 car. Shane, was that?
Sounded right.
See if Mark can maybe get an update on that, Mark, if you've got your ears on. We just heard a drive-through penalty, I believe, for car 27. Possibly a pit lane infringement we're hearing. So lap 18 complete. Simon Evans, 105.1 the last lap. 105.1 for Slade. That's a great shot over the rear deck lid. Looking back to Slade.
So Evans down into turn 2, up through 3, goal corner. Now get up to 4th gear, 170 k's into Book's corner. Round he goes, just gently on the throttle. Get it back up to 3rd gear, 170 k's into BNT hairpin there, over the hill. The car gets very light, hard to keep all those wheels on the ground without locking a brake. And then they'll accelerate again up to 5th gear, 215 k's. So we hear some tyre squeaking in the background. Back down to 3rd for the long Hankook sweeper. Nice wheel work there by Evans. And then they'll accelerate all the way up to 6th gear, got the hand on the leg. just relaxing. About 255, 260 Ks. And then it's hard on the brakes. Down to third gear. Easy as she goes around here. It's a very long blind corner. 110 Ks. Back up to 200, so a great lap with Simon Evans.
That was a 1:05.1, by the way, and he was 2 tenths quicker than Tim Slade behind. That gap's got out to 0.9 of a second, the biggest gap of this first stint. 5 laps away from the pit window opening for the compulsory driver changes as the Varney Wait Ford looks to be coming back out on track. Steve Owen taking his fuel stop is ahead of Tony D'Alberto on the racetrack, but I reckon D'Alberto's made some big gains there.
He certainly enjoys driving these cars. And pit lane infringement for the man on the screen right now. So Steve Owen has done something wrong in the pit lane, either speed or an issue with fuel. Mark, update us when you can.
Yeah, I believe the 27 car might be in the same boat. That's the call I've heard on race radio as well. So a couple of pit lane infringements.
Well, this is the first race of the season that we've had the fuel, so perhaps these guys haven't adhered to the rules, whether or not the car's got to go up on the jacks, whether or not the boys are pressing the envelope, I'm not sure.
So the cars that have pitted, the first of those on track is this car, Steve Owen. Here is the drive-through for the Hanley Rollinson Ferndale Farms Ford.
Yeah, guys, the reason for that drive-through is quite simple, is that when they jack the car up to do the refueling change, no one can actually work on the car until the fuel guy's gone back over. And one of the guys went and checked the tyre pressure on the left rear. They got pinged for it.
Well, yeah, that's just boys not knowing really what they're doing without making it sound like that. They're just the first race, and they've got to get their T's and I's dotted and crossed. And we're just hearing that Steve Owen is entering the pit lane. Here's a replay of the 27 car. So there's the man just wandering around the back on the left, and he's gone down to check the left rear tyre pressure. So
hey guys, also the Edgell car was exactly the same victim of the same ruling. A couple of guys are actually on the back of the car to give it a bit of a hand, pushing it off, while the refueler had to actually recess back into the pit lane. So look, pretty hard call, to be honest.
I'll tell you what, Mark, that's going to really hurt the Owen Edgell car, because they were looking pretty good with their strategy, and they were the first car on track, having taken their fuel stop.
Yeah, well, he's about to go a lap down to this man, Greg Murphy.
So we've got the pit lane window for the compulsory driver change just 3 laps away. Simon Evans by 0.8 of a second ahead of Tim Slade. Greg Murphy on screen in 3rd place. Slade 2nd. McIntyre 4th. Reed 5th. Paul Manuel 6th. Those top 6 cars have not yet taken their fuel stop. Everyone behind them has taken their fuel stop. Steve Owen there just dropping the right rear off the track, off the exit of the VNT hairpin. Varney Wait number 14 back out on track. Just hearing a report there's possibly some fluid coming out of that car on race radio.
One would hope it's not brake fluid. Mark, I'm just thinking about that rule, and you said a tough call, but what happens if while it's up in the air and the guy that's doing the tyre pressure and the driver lets the clutch out?
I know, it's a good point. I was actually thinking more of the Timmy Edgell car. You know, that the boys have done everything right. They're in the back of the car, giving a bit of an assist to go, you know. But hey, look, the rules, you've got to live by them. Play by the sword, you die by the sword, guys, as we know.
She's a good wake-up for all the other boys that are yet to do their fuel, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is 100% Shane.
So there is Steve Owen, one of 2 cars with drive-throughs for pit lane infringements. Lock up there from the Cunningham Waters Ford ahead of the race leader, Simon Evans. A little mirror adjustment there. In fact, he might have actually put the flashing light on to tell the 32 that he's the race leader, and he's coming through.
I'm sure that 32 car will be getting a reminder, as he should be able to make this pass pretty easily.
Yeah, Mitch Cunningham in the car. They were one of the first 2 cars to take their fuel stop before completion of the race start.
The issue now is that Slade's actually going to lose a little bit of ground on the number 4. He doesn't get by that number 32 car with Mitch Cunningham at the wheel.
That pit lane window's not too far away. As we saw from race 1, the driver changes range from anything from 12.8 seconds to 30 plus seconds. Cunningham runs a little bit wide down there at 4, and Actually, that's hurt Slade even more. That's that gap's extending. Slade down the inside, though, at the hairpin.
I wanted past the Smeg pit earlier on, and car just parked inside the pit garage. Boys practicing pit stops, so they're working very hard at ensuring that they eliminate the loss of time during these driver changes.
Both of those cars look very, very settled, even compared to McIntyre, Murphy and behind them. You know, there's no twitchiness. The cars look settled. The turn-in solid. Simon Evans at a 105.3 and Slade at a 105.8. The gap's out to 1.3 again. It's gone out to the biggest gap, and I think Slade just lost a little bit of time negotiating that lap car. Shane van Gisbergen getting ready to get in. I tell you, the boys are a little bit lucky in race number 1. They had an alternator starting to go down that actually read during the rides at the end of the day. So an alternator change overnight. So they had a little bit of luck on their side. It wasn't clean sailing in race number 1 for the number 14. Tim Slade looking very, very comfortable, just pacing himself there with Evans.
Yeah, he's just sitting there, isn't he? Just making sure he's right behind. Maybe he hasn't got the pace to do anything about it, but he's giving his co-driver Richard Moore every chance of having a go with SVG in the latter part of this race.
A couple of seconds in that pit stop could be crucial, because the gap's only 1 second. Pit lane is now open for the compulsory driver changes.
Open for driver change, and will close as the leading car crosses for the start of lap 32.
The other thing is the 14 is back in the pits. The gap back to Murphy's out to 6 seconds. Murphy is losing 2 to 3 tenths a lap to both this car and Slade. Just listening for no hint of wheel spin coming out of turn 4 for Simon Evans. Little chirp under the brakes. So 105.6 for Evans that last lap. Slade was actually 0.4 of a second quicker. Jack Perkins getting ready to jump in. Greg Murphy not too far away from pitting.
And these guys were slick in race 1 of their driver change, Jamie.
Fastest pit stop, yeah, 12.8 seconds.
Yep, they admitted that their stop was fantastic.
Yeah, they made a couple of seconds even up on the 4 car as well as Cunningham Waters.
Yep, she's
Ford
action,
comes in.
action time.
Morris is in.
Now let's see how well these guys do. Bit of an issue being Morris, much bigger statue than Andre Heimgartner.
These two pitting before the start of the race for fuel stops to get it out of the way. Now, it's going to be interesting to see where these two cycle back out on track in relation to the likes of Evans, Slade and Murphy at the conclusion of these compulsory driver changes, remembering that those cars have to take their fuel stop as well. So, Mark, that looked a lot better for the Heimgartner Morris team.
Yeah, 17 seconds. Definitely a lot easier of Andre getting in because of the bout arrangement and everything. But look, there's a pretty tardy stop, I'd say, by Ian Pedersen and Paul Pedersen. The manual car's just stalled, so he's now away. So, all in all, not bad effort.
Yeah, Cunningham and Waters made up a little bit of time. Here is the race leader. Simon Evans going to hand over to Shane van Gisbergen.
And interestingly, Slade stays out, so he's going to try and bank a couple of goodies here. And one thing the supercar boys are known for is getting good entry and exit laps. Bit slow for Evans, he can't get it out of gear.
Oh, that's going to cost them. That's going to be advantage Slade. Couldn't get it out of gear by the looks of it. That's costly. That's going to be probably a good 5 or 6 seconds.
I'll tell you what, not a bad recovery.
I'm still 18.2, guys, so on average it's actually still a fast stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 seconds down on what they did in race 1.
He struggled getting that thing into neutral, Mark. And the more you rush it, the worse it gets.
It actually sounded like they had to stall the thing in gear, from what I heard, and then select neutral and start it all up again. But look, good recovery from Shane. Certainly didn't panic and doing what he needed to do.
It may not cost them too much, Mark. Just they look to be actually on a similar time with the outlap to the 22 and the 32 car. So, but I think
the
left-hand door.
Now he's going to have to give that thing a couple of big swerves to get that shut, or he's going to have to head back to pit lane.
Well, one of the crew was in the left side trying to help get the car out of gear, and the door has not closed properly. Oh, this is drama for the previous race leader.
He's going to have to slow it. He's better off to slow it up and give that thing a wiggle.
Well, they could take their fuel stop too now. They could do that, but they're going to have to do that door after the conclusion of the fuel stop. So there's drama here. Murphy and Perkins in.
Murphy stopped a bit short there. Jack was at the front guard.
Well, there's drama up and down pit lane.
So here's the helping like what they did yesterday. Getting the final
that was
piece
quick.
of the belt in.
That was quick. That was blisteringly quick. They were 4 to 5 seconds quicker than what we saw from Van Gisbergen and Evans.
You're exactly right, Jamie. It's pretty good mathematics, 14.2 seconds. But what's interesting is Murph's actually out of that car in under 3 seconds. It's like lightning. Here we go. Evans' car is back in again, boys.
All right, they can't touch the door until they do the fuel, so this may not hurt them too much. They cannot go around the other side of the car until it gets down on the ground. Van Gisbergen in. How is it going to cycle out? Right, there is one of the crew going around, shutting that door. Hopefully it hasn't been damaged with it swinging around. No, they've got a drama. They can't get the door shut.
No, he's taping it up.
Can't get the door shut. It's moved around on the hinges, flapping around on the race car. That is costly. That is costly for the SMEG team.
Isn't that a familiar sight, looking at Shane Van Gisbergen, looking at people like going, what on earth is going on? So that's definitely going to cost them the race lead.
The more Slade 10, your race leader, still to take their fuel stop though. Paul Manuel, Shay Davies not too far behind them. But I'd say it's advantage this car and advantage Murphy and Perkins and potentially Gibson McIntyre.
Hearing that Tony D'Alberto's bringing the property tutor's car in, and right behind him's this guy.
Slade's in.
There's D'Alberto swapping over with Angus Fogg. Tyre adjustment.
Right, this is crucial for the 10. I don't think they are going to be in the race lead still to do their fuel stop though. Richard Moore about to get in. Mark's right there on the scene. Different theory with their driver changes. They've got one of the crew helping with the belts.
It's not...
Doesn't look as good as certainly we saw from Murphy Perkins. Mark, that looked to be a little bit slower.
Yeah, it certainly was. All those pit stops we just saw, boys, are in the 20-plus second bracket. But what's interesting is that there's no doubt the guys that are getting out of the car and then allowing the incoming driver to do the seat belts up are an awful lot faster than the guys that are using driver assist. That's exactly the opposite to what I said in race 1, where the driver assist was faster.
And that door's open again on the SMEG. Holden and behind. They're going to have to pit again, you would think. Well, drama here for the race 1 winners. Richard Moore wasn't too far away from the best of the pit stops. It just looked a little bit slower than we saw certainly from the Murphy car. So Shane Van Gisbergen with a drama. The left-hand passenger's door.
I did see during the pit stop that they had a team member come through the other side of the car to help. So
yeah,
that was their downfall there,
yeah,
potentially.
Trying to get the car out of gear with the driver change, but that is going to destroy their chances in race 2.
Here's the replay of the stop. So you see Evans trying to get it into the neutral.
Yeah.
Being very careful not to, I think he did stall it, didn't he? Ultimately.
It's one of the crew in the left-hand door.
There's the crew member through there.
Assisting getting it out of gear.
There's a lesson for you to check your, make sure your door is shut properly.
Well, how things can change in an extra pit stop. An extra pit stop to get that door secured. And that is absolutely going to destroy their chances.
Well, let's see.
Championship leaders.
Let's see what the Giz can do now. He's going to be an angry man. And we all like seeing Shane Van Gisbergen when he's on a charge.
Race management. Is now closed.
Pit lane is now closed for the compulsory driver changes, so they've all been done. I think the Slade Moore 10 still has to do a fuel stop.
Yeah, she's a bit mixed up at the moment. Look where we're actually at.
Well, you got Moore and Slade leading. Richard Moore in the car. They're definitely leading the race. Over Murphy and Perkins, who likewise I don't believe have taken their fuel stop. Gibson and McIntyre, I think likewise. Pedersen and Reed. The Evans Van Gisbergen car has dropped down to 10th. With an extra pit stop to secure that door.
That gap between this man here, Richard Moore, and Jack Perkins is pretty much the same as what it was prior to the start of the stops.
Around 6 seconds, that was, in fact, it was identical. It was 6 seconds.
Now Moore's got some lap traffic to deal with. The 27 Placemakers car. Mark, you got some info?
You have, guys. Look, when the Evans car came the first time, this is the race tape they used. It was 3 strips of this, which 9 times out of 10 would have been enough to hold the door, but when they come in the second time, they certainly upgraded the package and went to this, and this is now holding the whole left-hand side of the car together.
Well, the door anyway.
The door anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's costly, guys, though. It's dropped them down to 10th. So...
Well, they've not only had to do an extra stop, Jamie, they also spent a lot more time trying to secure that door after the fuel stop.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Absolutely. So, the first of the cars, I think the 22, Heimgartner Morris, that has fueled and done the driver change, are 42 seconds out of the lead. So, fuel stop to come for at least the top 4, probably 5 cars. So, Moore, Perkins, Gibson, Pedersen and Davies. My understanding is they are yet to take their fuel stop.
Richard Moore gets past Chris Hanley. Finally, Ferndale Farms Sound Placemakers number 27.
Yeah, well, they've had a drive through. They're back in 11th behind Shane Van Gisbergen. And then in 12th is Sean Varney. Obviously with a couple of issues mechanically with that car. They are about 18 laps down on the race leaders. That's been their issue.
This car on screen now is just a bit, looks a little bit loose through some turns, and I just noted that the gap has actually come down.
This is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Mark Gibson in the Blackwood Protector Ford and Pedersen in the J.A. Russell Ford. So there's nothing in it between them. This duo are about 10 seconds out of the race lead. Still held by Richard Moore in the Mike Perro number 10. Oh, Mark Gibson with a big lock-up.
He must have slammed that down through the gearbox to do that. And Ant Pedersen is going to get a sniff of it.
Now, the other equation that comes into this with the cars spread out around the track is traffic, and Jack Perkins just took a full second out of the race leader. Mork, you got Murph with you?
Yes, you got Murph and Tim Slade. Tim, looks like you've done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad start. Car's so-so. I think we can improve it a little bit more, but yeah, we've come a long way with the car since the start of the weekend. Still don't have the pace of the bloke in front of us, so yeah, we'll just keep battling away, and you know, Richard's doing a good job now, so hopefully can bring it home somewhere strong by the end of the race.
Others rented out, and there's Mark Cromie. Oh, sorry, Mike
Perro.
He's had a bit of a hair colour by the look of it.
5.9 for Moore, a 5.5 from Perkins. Another 4/10 gain for Jack Perkins.
Oh, he's on it. Look at that.
He's hustling. He is hustling. 4.3 seconds is the gap.
It's good to see these boys starting to hustle these SuperTourers.
Yeah, just highlighting how durable these Hankook tyres are. There is Greg Murphy.
Explain the upside and the downside of Mike Perro #1.
So we got.
Oh, now that's starting to look like the car did in qualifying. But he's muscling it, but that's what you do. At the start of the race weekend, you've got to muscle it.
5.6 for Moore, a 5.7, so Moore's answered back with a pretty solid lap there. Gap out to 4.4 seconds, so a little gain there for Moore. The other battle group to watch is Gibson and Pedersen. They're nose to tail, and Edgell and Van Gisbergen. That gap's down to 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Van Gisbergen the fastest on track with a 5.3. Andre Heimgartner's just done a 5.4. So he's got good pace at the tail end of this race. Lap traffic coming up though for Richard Moore. How important could that be to allow Jack Perkins the opportunity to maybe get to him? But I think he might just run out of laps here.
It's a good effort by Richard Moore, and I mean, Perkins, you've got to remember, has been in a supercar for almost the last month.
Moore and Slade finished 5th in race #1. As I said earlier, Shane, the duo obviously like Hampton Downs because they are previous race winners in the Enduros.
Well, I think last time with that #1 car, Jamie, they had to muscle it around when a power steer failed.
Yes. Right, Moore a 5.9, Perkins a 5.6, gap down to 4 seconds. Gain again from Perkins.
We'll see how nice this number 32 car is to Richard Moore. I think Cameron Waters at the wheel. He doesn't like being passed either, even when it's being lapped. So see whether he gets out of the road. He should do. There's no future in trying to block the race leader.
Just in behind these guys, the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Shay Davies has actually gone by Ant Pedersen. So Ant Pedersen's lost some time somewhere because the Oryx Commodore's now up into 5th, and you've got all three M3 team cars in the top 5 here.
Well, that's a big turnaround. There he is, young man from the Gold Coast, Carrera Cup driver in Australia.
Yeah, Ant Pedersen was right there with Mark Gibson.
That was a very wide entry into turn 4 by Pedersen, so maybe he's got a big issue we don't know about. Yeah, might get Mark Pedersen to investigate, see what's going on there. That's slow. That's slow.
A couple of laps before, Ant was right up behind Mark Gibson. We were sort of calling that battle group for the 4th position. You know, I think Ant Pedersen might have a problem in the J.A. Russell Ford. It's got throttle coming up over the hill. 3.7 seconds is the race lead for Moore over Perkins. Heimgartner, Gibson, Davies now 5th, Pedersen 6th. Back on board with Perkins.
Moore's cleanly past Waters.
Boys just out here at International Motorsport just asking if there's a problem. They said, we don't know, we've got no radio with the drivers, so everybody's running blind.
That doesn't help.
No.
Perkins, a little bit of mid-corner oversteer. He is trying hard to chase down Richard Moore, but he's going to run out of laps here. Just a couple left to go. Moore across the line at a 5.8. Perkins 5.6, gaps 3.5 seconds. Maybe a change for position 8. Shane Van Gisbergen's within a couple of seconds of Tim Edgell. But Ant Pedersen has dropped down the order and was 3 seconds slower than Shay Davies on that previous lap. So a fantastic effort here from the M3 team. What a way to come back. There's the 8th and 9th battle. Van Gisbergen right there with Edgell.
Well, you proved me wrong there, Jamie. He has gone for it, and he's got a lap to go.
He was 7 tenths quicker the previous lap. Van Gisbergen's just
Oh,
constantly moving. Perkins off. Well, that's game over.
That's B&T hairpin.
Game over. Advantage Richard Moore. That's how hard he was trying. So he's come down.
Oh, we miscalculated that by a country mile, didn't he?
Didn't get it turned in. Just late on the brakes. Lucky to keep it out of the sand pit. Last lap board is out. It's not going to cost Perkins position because Heimgartner was about 12 seconds back. And Richard Moore, good pace, 5.8. He knows the pressure's off. Perkins lost 5 seconds with that manoeuvre. So it's Moore, Perkins, Heimgartner, Gibson, Davies, Pedersen. Pedersen may come under the attention of Angus Fogg on the last lap. Likewise, Edgell under attack from Van Gisbergen. That's now down to a second in the battle for 8th. Try and get some points back for the championship leaders. But a fantastic job. What a return to form for M3. Richard Moore and Tim Slade. Slade doing a great job to stay with Simon Evans in the early laps of race number 2. It all went wrong for the Evans team with the pit stop. But it's going to be Richard Moore's 3rd ever race victory in the B&T NZ SuperTourers. And in the end, a pretty dominant win too. Celebration from the M3 team. That was Mark Cromie, Richard Stagg, Graham Moore. There's Perkins crossing the line in 2nd. But a great effort there from Richard Moore. There's Andre Heimgartner crossing the line in 3rd. Another podium for the Heimgartner Morris team. It's off the back of a 3rd place finish in race number 1. Battle for 8th, and it looks like Van Gisbergen's got Tim Edgell.
Pulled the big move into turn 5. Owen has a look. Rear of that Chester's car snaking. What a great finish to this 60-lapper.
Edgell losing 8th on the last lap. Van Gisbergen made up about 10 seconds in the last 10 laps. Van Gisbergen will get a salvage 8th after leading the first portion. There's Ed Pedersen off. Front splitter off. He's in the deep in the gravel.
Yeah, just trying to get a picture of where we're at here.
I think that is after the checkered flag. That is after the checkered flag.
Oh, you're right, Jamie.
He's gone sailing off at turn 1.
Right, so maybe a brake issue, or splitters come off and the got caught in the gravel.
So a huge moment there for Ant Pedersen after the checkered flag in the J.A. Russell Ford. But it's Richard Moore and Tim Slade in the end pretty much, well, dominating, but certainly dominating the end result ahead of Murphy and Perkins. Perkins trying very, very hard to get to his teammate, but had to settle for 2nd. Andre Heimgartner, Paul Morrison 3rd ahead of Gibson, McIntyre, Manuel Davies, all 3 in 3 cars inside the top 5. Pedersen and Reid 6th, Fogg D'Alberto 7th, Evans, Van Gisbergen in 8th ahead of Edgell, Owen and Cunningham and Waters.